What's up, bitches? It's Noisy Face coming back at you with another episode of Our Life Beginnings and Always. Today we're gonna do Sandcastle and 10 Million Fireflies. That song is stupid. I don't care for that song, but whatever. Let's go build a motherfucking sandcastle. Cove wasn't able to do many things that summer. When you, him, and Shiloh sat out on the shoreline one bright morning, you could tell he wanted to be in the water. But there was no way he'd be swimming anytime soon, not with his cast. The waves washed a single shell to shore, glittering and blue, another reminder of the places he couldn't go. And then he found the heart of Te Fiti and jumped in a boat. Abridged version. He is the Cove! From what you heard about Cove's old life so far, in tiny pieces and fragments, you could tell that he'd do anything to be able to get the cast off. The possibilities of what he might get up to made you anxious. You thought about how his summer last year must have been totally different from this, with his old home, mom, his dad. And now he was here with you, and Shiloh, and Lizzie, and everyone else. And he couldn't go into the sea. The town wasn't bad. It had all your favorite things in it. But sitting there, on the same beach you'd grown up on, you could understand that not everybody else felt the same way about Sunset Bird as you. You watched him from the corner of your eye quietly, and he finally said aloud what you had been pondering. I wish I could go in. The water? No! Shiloh and the motherfucking army! What do you think? Yeah. Oh. I'm sorry. You're gonna be able to do it soon. Cove only sighed in response. Apparently, soon wasn't soon enough. It's so pretty, the ocean. And huge. There could be anything out there. Like mermaids. I wish you didn't have a cast. I don't really care. I always care about mermaids. Swimming might be fun if we could. I'm fine here on land. Mermaids aren't real. I wish you didn't have a cast. I go with that. Ew. Oh, he looks so hurt that I reminded him. Sorry. Obviously not interested in hearing much more of your input on the situation. Oh, turn back to the water. But he always looked away. Something about Shiloh's slow, careful movements caught his eye. Hey, building a sandcastle? Sort of. I was only playing around while you were talking. I'm listening. Maybe I could too. I've only made big piles before. What kind of motherfucking kid loves the beach but has not built a sandcastle? Brah! Brah. Need to build some sandcastles, bro. It's really nothing special. I'm sure you'll be good at it right away. Well, how do you do it then? Shiloh's cheeks lit up. You could tell he was a little bit uncomfortable to have Cove's expectant stare on him. I'll play too. I guess, like just standing over here, doing nothing with my life. Oh, I love making sand stuff. I've never really made one before. There's nothing else to do. I love making sand stuff. He put his hands back to the seashells, sand, and nodded. I do it a lot. Here's how I like to get the house started. Shiloh, focusing more intently than you'd ever seen him, guided Cove through the process. You happily used your own method. It didn't take long. Oh! Gonna pause for the music. It didn't take long for the three of you to each have humble structures prepared. That's all. Kind of. You can do anything now, like make it bigger and add some seashells and carve a pretty pattern. I bet you have great ideas. I'm gonna make it bigger. Mine's gonna be a real castle. Cool! This is gonna be a house! Looking at the base of your sandcastle, you decided to make a house, a castle, or a mansion. Well, it just said I looked at the base of my castle. So I'm assuming I'm gonna make a castle. Looking at the base of your sandcastle, you decided to build a fancy castle. The better part of the next hour was spent focusing on your own work. The boys were the same. Even Shiloh didn't sneak as many peeks at everyone else as he usually did. You finished shaping before either of them did, glancing up from what you built. It seemed you got done so fast because they were already searching around for extra decorations. Shiloh had grabbed most of the really interesting stuff, and Cove had a lot of shells, but there were still options. First thing you reached for was a red bottle cap, a blue seashell. Oh, sea glass, motherfuckers! It was the best fit for your castle, you decided. It was see-through and sparkly. So you tucked it away somewhere secure inside, barely poking out to make sure it didn't get lost. Pleased with your result, you finally took a proper look around that wasn't focused on the sand itself. Both Cove and Shiloh seemed super immersed still. You knew you could probably sneak a peek at either one's work. Checked out Cove, checked out Shiloh's. Well, Cove's, of course. Gotta see what he's doing over there. The castle Cove had built looked surprisingly tidy, especially for someone in a cast. He must have worked really hard. He wasn't even finished digging the huge gaping moat in front, but it was already enormous. You got the sense from the enthusiasm he was digging with that the doctor was probably going to find a bunch of sand when he finally removed the pink plaster. The silence, then broken. What's on top of yours, Shiloh? You peeked closer and discovered something shiny sticking out of Shiloh's sand chimney. Oh, it's a gum wrapper! It looks like smoke. Neat. It's good. That's smart. Yeah, I didn't think of that. I guess I didn't see it. You should be an architect. Kinda looks like a worm. Say, yeah, I didn't think of that because I clearly did not. You really know a lot about this. Shiloh smiled without a word, and that was that for the current topic. French fries, can I see what you did? Sure. He began surveying your work. The castle you'd built was pretty impressive, all things considered. It had archways, tall walls, and even a little moat that I didn't copy from him at all. Totally my idea, 110%. Lies! You'd probably feel safe living there. Maybe your moms were the queens. Shiloh quickly decided to jump in the new conversation. Hey, French fries! What did you do? I made a castle. Obviously. Try to keep up! Shiloh didn't look so happy anymore. You both built castles? Yeah. That's neat. How you guys match? It's too bad we didn't all do it. Next time we should. I'm doing the awkward anime boy like head rub when they're like, I'm weird. Wouldn't that be boring? If something is only one of that thing, it makes it special. Yeah, for sandcastles and stuff. People too. My dad always says how everybody is their own man, a real individual. I don't think I'm very special. Why? Why not? Nobody else is you. Shiloh simply shook his head. I'm not different. A beat passed between the two. Cove then looked down at his own work again. Okay. He didn't seem to be bothered leaving the disagreement hanging there. Cove had other things on his mind. My dad tried to get me to make sandcastles the first time we came to this beach. Didn't want to. Cove trailed off. Again, there was another moment of silence. Shiloh shifted and opened his mouth to say something, but Cove spoke up before he could. You didn't think he noticed that Shiloh was going to talk. Hey, do you know what happened when your moms met my dad, French Fires? You blinked, not expecting the question. Thought hard. I wasn't there. They didn't tell me. I just remember what happened when I met your dad. Mr. Holden had been a weird stranger then. Well, he was still kind of strange. No other parent acted like him, but you knew him better at this point. Now that you thought about it, it made a lot of sense that Cove's dad talked to him about people being unique. You were pulled from your thoughts when Cove continued. Oh, well, I was there. I don't think my mom has met your dad. Yeah, pretty sure he hasn't. French Fire's parents and my dad met the same day I met her. I'm gonna say what happened. Well, good, because we were all in motherfucking suspense over here, Cove. Shiloh frowned to himself, ducking his head. His hat cast a shadow over his face. You could still tell he was upset at not being included in Cove's choice of topic. That was kind of boring for him, though giving people their own turn to say the things they want is important too. Yeah, I want to hear this story, Shiloh. Sorry, bro. Shiloh couldn't talk about stuff after Cove had a chance to share what he planned on. When I moved here, we didn't bring a lot of things with us. Only some stuff that would fit in Dad's car. We didn't even get a moving truck. It sat in there while Dad brought it all inside. I didn't want to get out because I knew Dad would only make me look around at the new house. Really didn't want to do that. His lips twisted into a frown as he recalled that. And I saw your moms. We're in a car too and stopped at your house. I guess they were coming back from somewhere or something. My dad noticed. He waved his hand, then went over to the front of your house where he started talking to them. I didn't know what they said. Couldn't hear. But he couldn't see me anymore since he was looking the other way. So I opened the car door and I left. I wanted to get away and went behind the houses. Found Hills there. Once we met. First time. Cove nodded, then stared at you. You stared back. He didn't go on to say anything more. That it? Cove's brow wrinkled, like he didn't understand why you were surprised. Yeah, that's all that happened. Okay! Why did you want to tell the story if nothing happened? Gotta get better at telling stories. Oh, that was a pretty bad story. I'm gonna say, like, hey, thanks. Like, yeah, thanks. Cool. Wasting time over there. You're welcome. Even if not much happened, you weren't gonna complain about knowing the story. Shiloh's mouth twisted into a scowl of disbelief, but he said nothing. Why'd you bring that up, anyways? There was a slight shrug of Cove's shoulders. I was thinking about it because of the sandcastle. It made me remember when I moved here with my dad. Dad showed me the beach first before we went back to the car to unpack. He was really excited about it for some reason. Cove's brows furrowed a little more as he quietly raked his hand through the sand. I get it. You thought maybe Mr. Holden wasn't that excited about the beach. He was instead hoping Cove might be. But the line of conversation had come to an end. Even Cove was done with it. Some other topic had popped up into his head. Shiloh fidgeting uncomfortably in the sand had made Cove aware of his presence again. They looked at each other. You could only wonder what this might be about. Hey, Shiloh? Yeah! Why are you always turning so red, even when nothing's happening? Clearly startled, he jerked back. Neither you or Shiloh had expected that to be how he got included in the conversation again. I don't know. I guess. Okay, that's kind of weird. Shiloh's eyes were wide with embarrassment and his lips twitched, and he was blushing even harder than before. Maybe it wasn't only this. Perhaps it was simply the last straw. But it was a big deal to Shiloh, a huge deal. He didn't look just sad. He seemed almost panicked. You weren't sure if he was about to cry or run away or what. But you soon got an answer. Why do you wear glasses? Most kids don't wear glasses. No one's named Cove. God damn, Shiloh, you took a motherfucking turn there. It's probably just your dad bugging French Fire's family some more because you don't have anyone else who'll ever play with you. Yeah, Cove's a little confused there. The tension on the beach was suddenly uncomfortable in a way you didn't know how to mention. It didn't seem like the kind of thing he'd get upset about, though you had never known what kind of thing would bother Shiloh. I'm sorry. Me too. I was just wondering. Yeah. Hey! Let's build another set! Nothing to see over here! The day's gonna be over soon. French Fires, you're right. The sun is going down so fast. You all went back to making more sand buildings, but the whole mood had changed. Shiloh's cheeriness was clearly gone. Cove looked as confused as ever about why the other boy had blown up. The air stayed uncomfortable the rest of the afternoon, right up to the moment that Shiloh's mom appeared at the beach to take him home. At least you tried to do something to resolve it, though, and it seemed like it helped. Even though Shiloh's smile when he said goodbye to Cove wavered, it stayed as bright as ever for you. That had to count for something. But with Shiloh gone and the sun going down, you knew it was time for you and Cove to head to your own houses. You followed him as he made his way out of the sand. The walk home was quiet. You passed by familiar landmarks, shoes thumping against the sidewalk in near perfect unison. Cove was clearly caught up thinking about something. Yeah, what you thinking? What you thinking? The prospect of asking made you nervous. You did it anyways. Hey, is everything okay over there? Checking out your cast or something? Oh, I was just wondering. Cove fell silent again for a few more seconds, then sighed. Why'd Shiloh act like that? When I said he was all red a lot. You were being rude to him. He's just being a baby. You shouldn't make fun of him. I don't know, it's just Shiloh. He gets embarrassed. You shrugged at Cove with no answer to give. I mean, I don't really know. It's not really a... I mean, it's kind of a rude question, but not like the rudest question that's been asked at this point. I'm gonna shrug. Indifference. There wasn't really much you had to say about Shiloh. He was Lizzie's friend. I guess I can get it. Why he would do that. Sometimes I get really mad too. Not sometimes, Cove. Every motherfucking episode, Cove. Despite seemingly coming to a conclusion, Cove's mood was still sour. What Shiloh said didn't make sense anyway. Parents always talk to other parents and set up stuff so their kids can play together. My dad didn't do anything weird. Well, bro, he did. You struggled not to make a face at that. His dad definitely did something weird to try to get you to spend time with Cove. But Cove didn't know that. Nobody's making me so, because that's not suspicious at all! Your dad does do stuff so you'll hang out with my family. You decided to tell him about his dad offered you money. Oh! These are all hard, because, like, I want to be honest, but he'll probably hate me for that. Nobody's making me spend time with you. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, no to me, no to me. Cove's shoulders relaxed. You hadn't even noticed that he had tensed up. Yeah, that's what I thought, too. Anyway, I knew the whole time Shiloh shouldn't have been saying things like that. You nodded, but you didn't speak. You kept your eyes firmly on the ground. By now, the two of you were on the sidewalk near your houses. It was time to part ways. Bye, Cove. Your parents hadn't planned anything else for you, though you knew that you'd seen him eventually. Cove nodded, already turning away. Bye, French fires. You made your way to your house at a leisurely pace, going up the driveway to get in the front door. Before you went inside, you looked back. Cove was halfway to his house, hands shoved into his pockets. You still felt a little unsure with what you were supposed to do about the deal Cove's dad had offered. You didn't want to say something bad, or something you shouldn't. You might change your mind sometime. There's always tomorrow, after all. But for now, it's definitely something you would keep to yourself. With a final look, you went inside your house. Fireflies. Alright, tonight we're gonna catch fireflies. At this blunt declaration from your sister, you looked up from your macaroni and cheese dinner. Fireflies were a familiar sight over summer, coming out on warm nights to dance through the sky. The night was particularly balmy, and you knew they were bound to be a ton of them around. Oh, you are you? What voice that was, but like, you know, Mom, whatever, Mom. Just do you? Yeah. You started eating faster, you looked over at your mom's, you pushed your food around your plate. Well, heck yeah, sure, let's go. You rocked lightly from side to side in your seat, already excited for your after-dinner activity. Catching fireflies was a great way to spend a summer evening, and you could already envision the little lightning bugs drifting through the darkened sky. That's a good idea, Lizzie! Can we, Mrs. Noisy Face? Shiloh tapped his fork against the table excitedly, his face lighting up as he looked at Lizzie. It was unusual for Shiloh to still be here. Like always, his mom had to bring him over really early in the morning before she started her job. But normally, she would have picked him up by now. She called before dinner to let your moms know she'd be late. You didn't hear why. Probably more work things. You thought maybe getting to hang out with Shiloh for longer is what made Lizzie want to keep running around outside. Staying at home and watching TV was never an option for her with guests over. That's why you were pretty sure she'd get your moms to agree. Well, it's already dark out there. Lizzie gave Mom the best puppy dog eyes she could, slowly spooning mac and cheese into her mouth while you waited there for a response. Oh, let them go. Nights like this don't happen every day. They happen during the night, which is different than the daytime. Mom? Your parents exchanged a look. Then Mom eventually sighed and nodded back. Yeah. Along with Lizzie's cheers, you threw your arms up in triumph, but waited until you finished chewing to say anything because you knew it was rude to talk with your mouth full. Fine, fine. Just make sure you stay on the hill behind our house with all the poppies, okay? Duh, Mom. That's where most of them are. The idea had only just been planted in your head, but already you could just picture all the glowing lights spreading out in front of you, like the fairies from the bedtime stories Mommy read sometimes. All too quickly it became a race to see who could finish their food first. No choking at the dinner table now. That's right. If someone died, we'd have to cancel the Firefly trip, after all. Mom said it like a joke, but you knew they were both telling you kids to slow down. Shiloh did immediately. When you glanced at Lizzie, you saw her still eating faster than she should. Elizabeth! Jeez. No one's gonna die, Mom. God. A knock on the door interrupted Mom before she could no doubt scold your sister. I'll get it. Your big sister jumped out of her seat and ran over to the door, pulling it open without even looking out the window to see who it was. You shifted in your seat to try to get a glimpse of the unexpected guest. Oh, good evening, Cove. Your mommy had already walked to the door by the time you managed to see past Shiloh's flappy hat. Why is Cove here? Is something wrong? He didn't give you any clear acknowledgement, his eyes firmly fixed on the ground in front of him. You shrugged, going back to shoveling a forkful of macaroni and cheese in your mouth. Then, for a few seconds, Cove said nothing. He only stood there and looked up at your mommy with a face almost like he was considering turning around and leaving. My dad told me to drop this off, so I guess he borrowed it from you. Cove took a familiar screwdriver from out of his large side pocket. Eyes now dropped to the floor. Oh, we left ours back home when we moved. Oh, great! Oh, that's Lizzie, God damn it. Great! Thanks. Bye. Aw, thank you. Here, why don't you come inside for a bit? Lizzie crossed her arms and lifted her chin. Cove shrugged, and Mom stood from behind the table. I'll give your dad a call and let him know you got here, all right. Cove shuffled fully inside, eyes remaining on the ground. Mommy closed the door behind him. Hi, Cove! Shiloh gave Cove a friendly smile while waving by holding up his hand and opening and closing his fingers. Cove nodded in response. Cove, are you gonna catch fireflies with us? You can come outside if you want to. You weren't sure what to say. Yeah, like, more and merrier. Let's go catch some fucking fireflies. You could see Lizzie eyeing you for mentioning the excursion to an outsider, but she got over it. If Cove said no, you'd understand, though. Catching fireflies wasn't something that everyone liked to do. I want to see them. I've never caught one before. It's too bad he didn't have a chance before now. The fireflies weren't out when he first moved in, and there must have not been any where he used to live. We can't go until after dinner. After she pointed this out, Lizzie walked back to the table and took her seat. There wasn't much left on her plate. Since this was very true, you decided to finish up your own stuff as well. Cove stepped closer and eyed what was on the menu for your family's meal. Have you eaten yet? Yeah, my dad and I ate earlier. What did you have? Eggs. The clipped, one-word answer seemed to discourage Shiloh from asking any more questions. His eyes slowly wandered back to the last scraps of food on his plate. Her phone call with Cove's dad must have ended, 'cause your mom came back into the room. Cove, your dad said you can stay for a little while if you like, but he's gonna come get you before it gets too much later. Sure. Oh, fun! This'll be so nice! As you polished off the meal, you hoped it would be too. The three of you all finished eating shortly after, and Lizzie led the way outside. Remember, don't stray too far. That's fine, Mom. Shiloh trailed so closely after Lizzie, he was nearly stepping on her heels. Cove hesitated at the door. He smiled lightly at Cove, gesturing for him to follow. After a moment, he did. Bye, children. The two of you were a good 10 or 15 feet behind Lizzie and Shiloh by the time you walked outside. You pushed the door shut behind you, watching their figures get further and further away. You're so slow, French fires. We don't have all night. You started to run when you heard Lizzie's voice calling you, but paused when you saw Cove still walking at a relaxed pace. Are you not gonna come? I tug him. I walk with him. I wave at him to hurry, or I leave him there. Well, God, I'm gonna tugging! You didn't want to get left behind or be in trouble for losing him. You gave his arm a pull, but immediately recoiled when he hissed. In a hurry, you'd accidentally grabbed his cast arm. You hadn't thought about that. Sorry. It's fine. Just go by yourself. Really? Bro? Fuck, you're always so mad! You couldn't help but feel bad as he rubbed his arm and refused to look at you. But since it didn't seem like he wanted you there, you did what he said, hurried to the hill. There were already a lot of fireflies out, glowing, bobbing about like buoys on a wave. Lizzie was standing on top. Shiloh was spinning in circles somewhere around the middle. Where's Cove? You looked behind you, wondering if you'd upset him enough to send him home. But a second later, he rounded the corner, looking around at all the fireflies with interest. Shiloh took a moment to come over and welcome the both of you to the hill. Hi, guys! It's really great out, huh? See how many there are? Yeah. A firefly danced through the air, landing on Cove's sea green head. Shiloh couldn't help but giggle. You and Shiloh couldn't help but giggle. You quietly looked on, you shoot the bug away. We're gonna laugh at your expense, Cove. Covering your mouth with a hand, the sound escaped you, and Cove looked at you in confusion. What? Oh, look! Lizzie has one! That's amazing! Shiloh ran to the highest point of the hill, making sure not to lose his hat or backpack along the way. You hummed as the group divided and conquered, shifting your gaze to the dozens of fireflies sailing around. The game was on. Spotting one close by, you approached it with assassin-like stealth, crouching down to make yourself seem less of a threat. Slowly dragging one foot in front of the other, you crept up towards it, arms outstretched. You closed your hands around the little glowing orb, careful not to crush it. The firefly landed in your palm, almost docile, and you stared down at your prize in delight. Its tiny legs tickled your skin, and you giggled at the sensation. Cove kept up with his own target, but when he tried to grab it, his pink cast waved awkwardly through the air, foiling his efforts to clap his hands around the firefly. Cove watched it vanish into thin air with a dissatisfied expression on his face. You encouraged him to try again, told him about the firefly you had, made a joke, did your own thing. Okay, it's between encouragement and joke. And he's like, he's never happy about anything that I do. I don't really want to joke at his expense, though. Alright, encouragement. You walked up beside him and gave him an encouraging smile. Cove didn't say anything, and you thought he must be upset. He walked further up the hill to continue his hunt, and you let your own firefly flutter back into the air. That was fine. You had your own plans. Decided to collect more, decided to sit in the grass and watch. Watching. You quietly took a seat among the flowers. The others were jumping and dashing all about. You saw how many times they succeeded and failed, how Shiloh almost tripped a couple times. It was a dramatic show, though around you it was calm. The lights of the stars and fireflies surrounded you peacefully. It was a beautiful night. You laughed quietly to yourself as you watched the others, and Shiloh finally managed to catch a firefly between his small hands. He lit up, and when he spread his fingers to take a peek at it, the bug escaped and flew off into the air. Oh! You watched as he pounced after it once more, but your eyes soon landed on Cove, who had failed to catch a firefly yet. You cheered him on, you scared him, you waited to see what happened. Well, let's not scare him. Let's Man, I want to cheer. I'm doing it. I'm going to cheer him on. You can do it, Cove! Get your old ass in there. We got to win this thing. Cove smiled at you for just a moment before returning to the firefly he had been trailing with renewed enthusiasm. While Cove returned to hunting fireflies, you settled for laying back against the soft grass, watching the poppies swaying around you and the fireflies hovering against the vast sky. French fires! Cove, get up here! We're gonna have a race! The shouting caught you off guard. It'd been quite a while since you heard from Lizzie or Shiloh. You glanced over to see them both standing on top of the hill again, Lizzie beckoning you with quick hand gestures. If she was like that, you knew there wasn't much room for disagreement. Up the incline you went. From the corner of your eye, you saw Cove was coming as well. He didn't care for Lizzie a lot, so you thought he might be intrigued by the idea. Hi! Hi, Cove. You can't roll down the hill. You could hurt your arm again. You'll be the referee, like for the rest of us. As Lizzie pointed this out, Cove froze in place. Oh, it was that kind of race. He frowned down at his cast. That was the second time it got in the way of tonight. What? Yeah, you'll watch and see who gets to the bottom first. It's important, got it? The cast was sturdy. If he was careful, he could have done it. Lizzie might have just been looking for a reason to make someone else the referee, but it wasn't already decided. Yeah, I'm gonna stay with Cove. That's kind of mean to assume that he can't roll down the hill. Like, that's what we're doing. You don't have to. It's okay. I want to watch. You moved beside him on the top of the hill, even though Lizzie eyed you and made a face. That's not how races work. We only need one referee. Shrugging your shoulders, you refused to budge, and Lizzie let out a huff before throwing her hands in the air. Fine, I'll be the winner, whether you want to join or not. Lizzie moved to lay down, and Shiloh did the same. Cove stood slightly to the side to get a better vantage point, and you stood next to him. Count down! Cove stood up a little straighter. It seemed like he was taking his newfound referee duties seriously. 3, 2, 1, go! Lizzie and Shiloh took off. It's the music again! Lizzie and Shiloh took off, letting gravity do the work and rolling at high speed towards the bottom of the hill. You and Cove leaned forward to watch them go, eyes peeled for which of the two would reach the bottom first. They were both neck and neck, till about halfway down the hill, Lizzie started to veer off to the side, giving Shiloh a huge advantage. She obviously hadn't noticed a thing, and as soon as Shiloh reached the bottom of the hill, he jumped up excitedly and threw his hands in the air. I won! Almost immediately, he fell back onto the grass, still dizzy from his roll down the hill. Lizzie stomped out of the bush as she had ended up in, sputtering angrily and brushing leaves from the front of her dress. Not bad. You got lucky. Let's do it again and let's see who wins for real. Kids, time to come in. Oh, no. Mom, we're rolling down the hill. You snickered, feeling grateful you hadn't been a part of the mini debacle. You caught Cove's eyes and saw that he was doing the same. It had gotten late and was beginning to feel just a bit chilly as you made your way out of the hills. But the cold in the air hadn't dampened anyone's spirits. The four of you walked back home together, side by side, down your neighborhood street, discussing the evening with each person trying to prove that they were the ones who caught the most fireflies. You knew that whoever really did catch the most didn't matter much anyway. All that mattered was that you had a good time, which, judging by the smiles on everyone's faces, you did.